Welcome back to the deep dive. Now, you sent over some source material this time that's, well, it's pretty intense.
It is. Definitely demanding stuff.
Yeah, deep spiritual instructions. Looks like from 1952. It seems like a kind of manual for the learner, someone on a path to mastery.
That's a good way to put it. It's translated from Russian, and it's packed with very specific terms for, like, cosmic laws.
Yeah.
The idea isn't just to think about them, but to really apply them, scientifically almost.
Okay. So our mission today is to unpack that, right? Get to the core principles for transformation, all centered around guidance from an inner master, or Valaika, as the text says.
Exactly. To distill it, make it a bit more accessible maybe, without losing the rigor.
All right, let's jump right in then, because the foundation it lays out is, frankly, pretty stark. It basically says humanity is split, period.
It does. No gray area. You're either a person of the past or a person of the future.
That's it. No straddling the line.
Nope, the text is quite clear. It hinges entirely on where you place your consciousness. If you're serious about this path, the kingdom of the master is the kingdom of the future. Full stop.
So identifying with the past, old habits, maybe grudges, even pride in old wins, that's choosing stagnation.
Pretty much. You're choosing the inertia of what's already done rather than what's becoming.
But here's the thing that jumps out, and it feels like a contradiction. So much modern advice is about being present, mindfulness.
Right. Be here now.
Yeah, exactly. But this material, it sounds like it's saying the opposite. Learn not to live in the present, but only for the future. How does that even work? Doesn't that make us, disconnected from now?
It seems that way on the surface, but I think the distinction is subtle. The present it's warning against is often just the past's gravity.
Ah, okay. Like routines, comfort zones, inertia, just dressed up as now?
Exactly. So stopping living in that kind of present means refusing to yield to those temporary conditions. The aim is this constant, unwavering aspiration. The term they use is ustrumleni.
Ustrumleni, I like that. It sounds active more than just running something, like striving.
It is. It's meant to define your whole consciousness. The text suggests that by keeping this mental flight going, always aimed at the future, you counteract the pull of earthly stuff.
So you grow wings, as the text puts it, for this distant flight.
Metaphorically, yes. You get used to that forward momentum, that higher perspective, so the little day-to-day weights and worries, they just can't drag you back down. You're literally building spiritual velocity.
Okay, so the present moment is valuable mainly as a launch pad for the next step.
Precisely. The kingdom of the future is all about striving action, eternal action, and movement. Complacency is, well, it's forbidden.
No resting on your laurels at all.
Not if you're aiming for mastery, according to this source. If you sit back, feel satisfied, think, I've arrived, boom, you're back in the past's inertia. It's a demanding standard, no question.
It really is. Okay, so this constant movement, this relentless flying forward, how do you stay stable? How do you not just spin out? This seems to lead to another core idea, finding an immovable center.
Yes, and this is where a really powerful metaphor comes in. Think of your personal reality, your microcosm, as a spinning sphere. It's always changing, reacting.
Okay.
But the master, the Vladaika, represents the unmoving axis at the very center of that sphere. Finding that inner axis is the key.
Yeah.
It's what gives the whole system coherence.
Without the axis, everything just flies apart. Chaos.
Exactly. And finding that center, aligning with it, grants this specific power. They call it calmness, spokoisti.
Calmness is a power source.
A huge one. Equilibrium, ravnovesi,
Yeah.
is called the unconquerable power of the conqueror. It's what lets you withstand, well, everything.
Yeah.
All the chaos, the onslaught of the elements, as the text says.
It's a gyroscope, right. Spinning fast, but perfectly balanced on its point.
That's a great image for it. Absolute stability at the core, even amidst intense external forces.
And the text gives us a couple of ways, sort of visualizations, to achieve this stability.
It does. Two paths. First, you can soar so high above life's phenomena that the turmoil below just looks insignificant, like seeing ants from a mountaintop.
Detachment through altitude.
Right. Or, second path. You stand firm as the silent witness on the shore of eternity. You observe the chaos, the changing patterns of life, like watching a kaleidoscope, but you don't get swept into it. You just record it.
In both cases, consciousness steps outside the flow of change and suffering.
Precisely. You unhitch yourself from the constant churn.
And thinking practically, this is vital for navigating, just daily life today, the noise, the conflict.
Oh, absolutely. The source calls that chaotic emotional noise frenzied astral.
Ah,
We're all swimming in it, aren't we?
we really are.
So when you encounter that disharmony, that external static, holding on to your inner calm, your Rabdomevasai, is everything. Lose it, and you've lost the battle.
Because you're vulnerable then.
Totally exposed. The text is blunt. Lose your inner composure, and you're like a warrior without armor or a shield. Someone throws anger at you, you react with anger. Well, you've just caught the very thing you were trying to avoid.
You have to consciously choose calmness instead. Assert it.
Yes, you have to claim that power to remain untouched, unconquered by the external craziness.
Okay, this makes sense. But it also points directly to the main internal reason we lose that calm, the thing that undermines the striving, the Ustramanai too, the inner enemy. What does the source call it?
It's a maso, usually translated as selfhood or ego.
Yeah.
Labels very clearly enemy number one.
Enemy number one.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the text basically pins every major setback, every delay in service, all the division and misfortune squarely on this selfhood. It's the past, the old patterns, clinging on, trying to sabotage the future self.
What does that look like day to day? How does Samoso show up?
Oh, in so many ways. Self-pity is a big one. Holding on to grudges, feeling offended, getting overly attached to things, or even to your own past accomplishments. Fundamentally, it's believing that this temporary I, this personality, is the real you.
The voice that says, I deserve this, or I can't help it, or they wronged me.
Exactly. All forms of self-justification and limitation rooted in that temporary identity.
So if that ego, that Samasu, is just a temporary shell, what's the real core? What are we supposed to identify with?
That's the Zernduka, the grain of spirit. This is the immortal spark, the indestructible part of you. Everything else, physical body, emotions, thoughts, the mental framework, they're all temporary shells. Obalashki, the text calls them.
Husks, like layers you shed.
That's the idea, like spacesuits for different environments.
Yeah.
Useful, necessary for a time, but you wouldn't mistake the suit for the astronaut inside?
So the real work, the core task for the learner, is shifting your sense of self. Consciously.
Precisely. You have to deliberately transfer your identity, your I am, from those changing, vulnerable husks to that unmoving, indestructible grain of spirit. That core is outside the chaos, outside the changing conditions.
You stop living in the shell and start living as the fire within it.
Beautifully put. That's the only way to find real freedom from the suffering that comes with identifying with things that inevitably change and pass away.
There's also a really practical bit of advice in there about dealing with past baggage, right? Karma, basically, like a mental technique to stop repeating mistakes.
Yes, it's like a conscious reset. The instruction is, whenever you slip up, act unnecessarily, fall back into an old pattern, you must consciously frame it in your mind as the completion of the past.
Like labeling it. Okay, that was the last echo of that old karma burning off.
Exactly. That conscious designation acts like a seal. It prevents that action from planting seeds for new negative patterns. It breaks the reactive cycle. You observe it, name it as finished, and move forward into the future action.
Okay, that's powerful. And that leads us to creation, doesn't it? If we're building this future consciously, our thoughts become the building blocks.
Absolutely central. Thoughts aren't just fleeting things in your head. They are described as tangible, potent, even fiery agnenii.
Fiery thoughts.
Yeah.
So they have real substance, real power.
Yes. They are the blueprints for your reality, which means you have to handle them carefully, control them, direct them. Because they influence things, not just in your mind, but out there, on other planes.
And there's a specific instruction for how to make thoughts effective, powerful, like the style matters.
It does. It's about clarity and force. Thoughts need to be short, clear, and chiseled. Kretke, chekini for me my slave.
Chiseled forms of thought, not vague wishes.
Exactly. Think of a sculptor's chisel. One precise strike creates form. Weak, scattered thought doesn't have that creative impact. Spiritual energy, the universe itself, responds to that focused clarity.
And this brings us back to Ustramonai, that aspiration. It's not just a feeling, it's like a tool.
A scientific tool, according to the text. It's the key that unlocks doors to knowledge. It works by the law of magnetic attraction. Like attracts like. Call and response.
But it has to be conscious aspiration, right? Not just wanting something vaguely.
Conscious and volitional, deliberate. If it's just a passing desire, an emotional reflex, it lacks that crystalline structure, that focus force needed to magnetically draw the response.
This intense focus on mental work reaches its peak with the description of the Arhat, the advanced adept. There's that amazing comparison.
Oh yeah, that really flips our usual perspective on activity. The source says an Arhat's work is mainly in the realm of thought, And then, get this, a yogi sitting still, deep in focused thought, can be 1,000 times more active than someone rushing around in a busy city.
1,000 times more active while sitting still. That's mind-bending.
It challenges our whole definition of productivity, doesn't it? We see physical busyness, but the real power, the real creative force that shifts energies and influences events happens at the level of concentrated thought. That stationary master is wielding forces the busy person isn't even aware of.
And that same mental authority has to be applied to our own reactions, too, to external events, internal feelings.
Yes, you have to shift from being a reactor to being an actor. You stop being just a product of your environment and start commanding your own inner state.
So you consciously decide how things will affect you.
That's the goal. You predetermine your response. For example, work comes up. Instead of passively letting it make you feel drained, you actively will yourself to draw strength and energy from the challenge.
Or traffic jams, difficult people.
Wow.
Instead of automatic irritation, you assert calmness, you choose the inner weather.
Exactly. You decide the impact the world has on you, not the other way around. You claim sovereignty over your microcosm.
Okay. This constant assertion, the striving, this focus, it all points towards the final phase described. The path of service, the ultimate victory of light. And we already know it's not going to be easy.
Definitely not. The path is explicitly defined by struggle, borba, and overcoming, predilenia. But the text insists these difficulties aren't pointless.
They're purposeful.
Yes, given specifically to temper the spirit, like forging steel. Fire and hammering aren't pleasant, but they create strength and resilience. Resistance builds the spiritual muscle.
And amidst all that struggle, that forging process, what's the single most powerful quality to cultivate? Is there a shortcut, so to speak?
Love for the master, the Vladika. That connection, that devotion, it's called the source of unsurpassed power. And significantly, the shortest and straightest path to the light.
So that relationship becomes the guiding star, the primary motivator.
And the primary source of strength. It's the magnetic pull towards the goal, ensuring you stay oriented.
And this journey isn't just about personal enlightenment, is it? There's a mission component, engaging with the world.
Absolutely. You're not just polishing your own soul in isolation. The task is to carry the light of the master out into the world. And this involves a specific way of dealing with imperfection.
How so?
When you see something flawed, imperfect around you, your response shouldn't just be criticism or judgment. It has to be creative.
Creative criticism.
Meaning you respond to the flawed form by actively creating and projecting a superior, more perfect form. A better thought, a better plan, a better way of being. You don't just point out the darkness. You actively introduce a brighter light, a better blueprint to replace it.
That's a very active form of service, constantly upgrading reality through thought and action.
That's the idea. And the text looks ahead to a culmination of this whole process, a final struggle, Armageddon, it calls it, which leads to this ultimate separation between those aligned with the future, the light, and those who clung to the past.
And for those on the path of light.
It's the path of the victor. But victory isn't a destination. It's described as a path of infinite, continuous victories, never stopping, never resting on achievements, always advancing, always overcoming the next challenge, always expanding the light.
So looking back at everything we've covered, it's a radical transformation, isn't it? From being essentially a slave to circumstances, to your body, your lower emotions.
Right, a reactor.
To becoming a conscious creator, a son of fire, a victor over the world through sheer force of focused will, self-mastery, and that relentless aspiration, Ostermaline.
It's a complete identity shift. From being acted upon to being the one who acts from that unshakable inner center. It's demanding, yes, but the potential transformation is immense.
And there's that final clarification, that really sharp insight about suffering and growth.
Yes, that's crucial. The source makes it crystal clear. It is not the suffering itself that gives birth to the precious stone,
It's not the pain.
but the force of overcoming the suffering. The suffering is just the raw material, the pressure. It's your conscious effort to overcome it, to transform through it, that creates the diamond of the spirit.
That puts the power squarely back in our hands, doesn't it? The difficulty is just the resistance. Our response is the alchemy.
Exactly. Which leaves you, the listener, with a challenge, really. How will you consciously use the pressures, the struggles, the inevitable difficulties in your own life, not just endure them, but use their energy to crystallize that indestructible stone of your spirit? Because that process, that constant conscious transformation, that ustrumlanai, that's the heart of real evolution, according to this teaching.